All right, we about to have a car talk this morning. So let's talk about dreams right quick. Dreams cost something. The bigger the dream, the higher the cost. The bigger the cost. And this applies to anything, whatever it is, whether it's spiritual or natural, whether it's something like losing weight, whether it's something like becoming a millionaire, or whether it's something as high as getting into heaven, which is the ultimate dream, right? For us devout Catholics. And everybody has dreams, I guess. Most people, I think. Some people are more goal oriented, I guess, than others. But there's one common denominator with all these things. It's that they cost something. So, for example, say you want to lose weight, right? You have to make sacrifices regarding your diet and your exercise routine. And that will eventually lead you to achieving your goal and your dream of losing weight. And here's where we can fall into a trap as Catholics. And I've fallen into both of these traps I'm about to talk about here in a minute. And one is that we expect the people that we're surrounded by to support our dream. But here's the truth of the matter. If it's not their dream, why would they support it? It's like being fat, right? Or being overweight. If you're surrounded by people who are not overweight and you go out to dinner with them to a restaurant or something like that, you can't expect them to order according to the diet that you have to be on. Maybe you have to order the asparagus and the salmon, and they don't have a problem with weight, so they can order the pizza or whatever else that you can't eat right now. You can't expect people to pay the cost for you. It's your dream. You're the one who wants to lose the weight. You're the one who wants to be a millionaire. You're the one who wants to get into heaven. You're the one who has to pay the cost. Nobody can pay it for you. That's number one. And as Catholics, we look around at our family members and our friends, and I've fallen into this trap where we get frustrated that they make it difficult for us or that they don't understand. Well, they're not going to understand because it's not their dream. Their dream is not to get into heaven. That's not their dream. If it was their dream, they would be a practicing Catholic, and they're not. So their dream is not to get into heaven. So stop expecting them to understand and stop expecting them to make it easy on you. Because the bigger the dream, the higher the cost, which brings me to my next point about a lot of times, and I fell into this during my initial conversion, reversion, whatever you want to call it. I would call it a conversion because I had no formation prior. Where I was trying to skate through my conversion process without paying the cost, especially in regards to the relationships in my life. I was trying to play both sides. Like, okay, I can be a practicing Catholic and I can still have this relationship, but the relationship was going against what the faith was saying. Okay, but I out of fear and of attachments and all these other things, I didn't want to let some of this stuff go. But eventually it was ripped out of my hands anyway, because that's the way it works, because there's a price to be paid. And the more you pay the cost, the more you pay the price every day, the easier it becomes and the more you surrender to the will of God. So it's like, okay, like after the first initial big ones, I would say, maybe not, this isn't true for everybody, but it was true for me. So when I realized that I couldn't expect somebody else to try to live out chastity because their dream was not heaven, I had to realize this in a shocking way, which involves me walking in on them sleeping with somebody else. Once that happens, that was kind of a turning point where I'm like, okay, well, I just paid this cost. If I could pay the cost in this way, I could pretty much do it in any way, because that was one of the most devastating things a person can experience. But anyway, so that's my point. Like, there's a cost to be paid, and you can't expect people to make it easy on you because it's not their dream. And you can't expect to not pay it, because the bigger the dream, the higher the cost. And so once we surrender to this and accept it, we are better able to accept everything being the will of God. We're better able to look at really bad situations and hurtful situations and say, okay, this is an opportunity that God is giving me to pay the cost to achieve my dream of heaven. And that's where the magic, so to speak, in a non-occult way happens, where you can look at any situation and you become unshakable because you're like, all right, well, this is obviously the will of God in this situation. I'm just going to accept it, suck it up. I'm not going to try to avoid it. I'm not going to try to avoid paying the cost. I'm just going to embrace it, pay it, get through it. It's the will of God. Offer it up as offered up for reparations and things like that. And so I know a lot of us right now, including myself, are like the only ones in our family that practice the faith. And that is a huge cost. That is a huge burden. It is a huge cross that I'm not going to minimize it because it takes a very big emotional toll. I understand. But stop expecting it to be any different. Embrace it. Offer it up as the price, offer it up as the currency, the cost to achieve the dream of heaven. That's all I got for today. Joan of Arc Media out.